This is my first video update from Athens, Greece on this very quiet, peaceful Sunday morning. Beautiful tree, huh? All right, let's talk about Joe Bidenopolis. Looks like he's going to be running again in 2024. At least that's according to statements from his wife, Dr. Jill Biden. She said in an interview the other day that Joe Biden, he's got a whole lot left to do, and it looks like he's going to accomplish all of his goals in his next term as U.S. president. And so Biden was asked about his wife's statements in an ABC interview the other day, and he played it cool like Joe Biden always does. He always plays it cool because he's Joe Biden. And he didn't say that he's going to run, but he kind of hinted at the fact that if his wife says he's going to run, well, he's going to run. We'll see. I think he's going to run. I think he is going to run. Absolutely. And that's quite something if Joe Biden goes for another 4 years. God help us. He might actually win as well. God help us. God help us. He'll probably be facing Trump, but we'll see. We're still very early in this, but I think that's some pretty big news to start off this Sunday. And Elon Musk. Let's talk about Elon. He tweeted the other day that the 2014 coup in Ukraine was indeed a coup. He was replying to a tweet from kanekoa.substack.com, which quoted John Mearsheimer, and it said, "For Putin, the illegal overthrow of Ukraine's democratically elected and pro-Russian president, which he rightly labeled a coup, was the final straw." So that was a tweet quoting Professor John Mearsheimer from 2014, and Elon Musk replied to that tweet, and he said that election was arguably dodgy, but no question that there was indeed a coup. So Elon Musk, he called out Nuland a couple of days ago, and now he's coming out and saying that there was indeed a coup in 2014. Yanukovych was democratically elected. Even the United States admits to that. I mean, no one argues the fact that Yanukovych was the democratically elected president of Ukraine. So, to the first part of Elon's tweet where he says that election was dodgy, as dodgy as any other election that takes place nowadays, especially in the collective West. So, anyway, that was the tweet from Elon Musk. I wonder why he is taking this position against the neocon deep state. He's taken a very hard position against them. Very interesting developments from Elon Musk. I'm sure it has something to do with Starlink. There must be some sort of Starlink link to Elon Musk's latest tweets against Nuland and the neocons and the war machine that supports Ukraine. So there's a freak out about China that's going on, and the titles from various articles, like this one from Bloomberg, China's Ukraine plan is all about challenging the U.S. Beijing is offering a bogus path to peace, weighing arms sales to Russia, and showing an increasing appetite for confrontation with the democratic world. You had that article from Bloomberg. You have this article from the Wall Street Journal. As China calls for peace, U.S. believes Beijing is considering artillery and drone deliveries to Moscow. U.S. intelligence shows possible Chinese weapons deliveries to help Moscow stave off expected Ukraine offensive this year. So there's a freak out going on around China. And I imagine a lot of this has to do with kind of distracting away from the fall of Bakhmut. I imagine that's one of the reasons the media is is targeting China is to kind of distract away from what's happening in Donbass. But there's no doubt that China has been placed on the sanctions escalator and on the should we call it the war regime change escalator? Is that the right way to put it? So the Biden White House, they've kind of already opened up a second front against China. I mean, they've got China on that escalator, and China's moving up that escalator. So one of the unfinished things that Biden has to do if he were to win a second term would be to start the war with China. That's a definite. That goes without question. But listen to this statement from CIA Director William Burns in an interview with CBS. Quote, "We are confident that the Chinese leadership is considering the possibility of providing military equipment. We are confident that the Chinese leadership is considering the possibility of providing military equipment." They're considering the possibility. This is coming from the CIA director. The CIA is very confident that China is considering the possibility of providing equipment to Russia. An incredible statement from the CIA director. So a lot of panic around China. China's plan for Ukraine is a challenge to the U.S., according to Bloomberg. If China is on the verge of becoming more involved beyond the futile peace plan, the strategic upheaval is just beginning. Greater Chinese support for Russia could change not only the battlefield, but also the global chessboard. Secretary of State Blinken has stated that Beijing is considering providing Russia with lethal weapons or ammunition. They're considering providing Russia. I'm sure China's considering a lot of things. France came out and they warned China. Boris Johnson also warned China. Let's see, what did France say? And I'm sure France's statements, they have China shaking in their boots. But France, the French foreign minister, he warns against China. He warns China against the inadmissibility of any assistance to Russia. If we see his attempts, which can be interpreted as material assistance to Russia, we will not turn a blind eye to this, and we warn China about it. This is what France's foreign minister, this is what she stated. And Boris Johnson came out and he said that China is preparing to arm the Russians. That's what Boris Johnson said. Boris is more definitive. He's not saying that he's confident that there's a possibility that China is thinking about some possibility to perhaps send arms to Russia, perhaps, possibly. They're considering the possibility of possibly, perhaps, doing it. No, Boris Johnson is just, China is preparing to arm the Russians. That's what Boris came out and said. So why all the panic? Why all the hysteria about China? Definitely the Biden White House wants to go to war with China before 2025. We already know that that's the plan. So they're ramping things up. There's a bit of distraction as well, to distract away from Bakhmut and what's happening in Donbass. But let me give another reason. Why they're going after China, in order to keep everyone in line with Project Ukraine. They need another boogeyman, and China's the perfect boogeyman because a lot of people, like citizens of the collective West, as well as leadership of the collective West, are sick of this whole Russia boogeyman, Putin dictator, send Zelensky $100 billion narrative. And so They need to add another villain to this plot to keep everyone focused on Project Ukraine and to keep the money flowing and the weapons flowing. And what better villain than China, right? It's perfect. You know, the United States is already fighting the Joker. Now they have to go after. Now they have to bring in the Penguin, right? Batman reference. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. I think that's another thread to this China narrative. And then of course you have the fear that China does actually decide to provide weapons to Russia, which would mean, you know, game over for the collective West. Not that it's not game over for the collective West when talking about Ukraine, but China ramping up production of weapons to Russia would be a very bad sign for NATO. Even outside of Ukraine, that would be a bad sign to have the Russians teaming up with China and to have China's production might cranking out weapons and ammo. That would be the collective West's worst nightmare. So there is that as well. But when I think about all the panic with China, I always look at it from a media optics viewpoint, and that's what's most important to the collective West: the media, the PR, the optics, keeping everyone invested in Project Ukraine. And as people are getting more tired with the whole Ukraine, Zelensky, give me 100 billion, they have to bring in another villain. They have to bring in another villain. And Iran is good, but they've already done that. Assad, they've already done that. But China, that's a good villain. China is a super good villain. So that's what I think is going on with the whole China hysteria. What else should we talk about here? Olaf Scholz is in India. He's trying to get India on side. And India is not budging. They're not condemning Russia. They had a foreign ministers meeting of the G20 the other day. And the collective West, the G7 countries taking part in the G20, they wanted to condemn Russia. And India was like, no, we're not going to use this G20 foreign ministers meeting, or was it a foreign ministers or finance ministers? One of the two. We're not going to use this meeting to talk about sanctions and condemning Russia. So Scholz has been dispatched to India to try and move India away from their support of Russia. Meanwhile, in Germany, there is news that the Germans want to use the remaining pipes in Nord Stream 2, the ones that were not blown apart by Joe Bidenopoulos. If you believe Seymour Hersh's reporting, they want to use those pipes to construct a new pipeline to a floating LNG terminal. How about that? German authorities are already discussing with Nord Stream 2 the purchase of about 3,000 pipes, according to Welt am Sonntag. Very interesting. How about that? I wonder if Olaf Scholz knew what was going on. I wonder. I really do wonder if he was given a little bit of a peek into the plans when he met with Biden in February. When was it? February 7th or 17th? I wonder if Biden gave him a little peek into their plans. And Olaf Scholz, being Olaf Scholz, just said, okay, whatever you want, Joe Biden, whatever you tell me, I'll agree with. I really, really wonder. What else? What else can we discuss here? Let's see. How about this quote from Estonian Prime Minister Kaja Kallas? She's prohibiting Russia from suspending the START 3 treaty. She said, Estonia cannot afford this. Russia officially remains a party to the treaty. This is not being discussed. Man, Kaja Kallas. It's tough. She's tough. She's a tough leader, Kaja Kallas. She's tough. First, she's going to rewire the brains of the Russians, and then she's going to put a stop to Russia suspending the START 3 treaty. She's a tough leader, Kaya Kallas. So, did I talk about the 150 billion that that Russia says it has in its possession from Western assets? I don't think I've talked about that. But Bloomberg is reporting that Russia has frozen Western assets in its possession to the tune of $150 billion. And the interesting part is that many investors in the West, they're afraid to admit that they still have investments in Russia and they have investments that are frozen because of all the hysteria and the panic and the sanctions and all of these things. So Russia kind of has this money. The investors who have this money in Russia that's been frozen, they can't really speak up about it and get the help from their government, and it's just kind of sitting frozen in Russia. So I'm just waiting for Putin to come out and give a speech and say we're not gonna freeze, we're gonna seize. Oh, what a huge, gigantic L for the European Union with this frozen assets play. Because Bloomberg also reported last week that the EU is unable to account for the 300 billion euros that they said they froze in Europe. And the only assets that they could actually find of that 300 billion was something like 30, 35, 37 billion. That's all they have. And in this new sanctions package, in this 10th sanctions package, the EU has put a policy, a new law, a new rule, whatever you call it, a new directive. That's what they call it, a directive. They like that word. They put a directive for all European Union banks to report any Russian assets that they have in their possession, to look under the sofa cushions and try to find anything that they can find, and they're obligated to report it to the European Union. Because of the 300 billion that they were talking about, that Ursula was bragging about, we'll seize, not freeze. We'll seize, not freeze. Economy in tatters, and we're going to seize the assets, not freeze the assets. I got to find her video where she talks about the seizing and freezing again, and I got to put that into this video just so we can all get a good laugh.
Let me start to answer. Indeed, our aim is not only to freeze, but to seize the assets. Mm-hmm. This is the aim.
But yeah, they only found 35 billion. Putin was 10 steps ahead of the EU. And it looks like Russians, I don't know how they did it, but they got the money out. They got most of the money out that was in the EU. And they were very quiet about it. You know, as Ursula was bragging about her confiscation of 300 billion in frozen Russian assets, as she was bragging about it and constantly talking about it and running her mouth about it. And look at me, I'm so powerful. I'm such a great EU commissioner. I'm going to get 300 billion. So everyone was excited. You know, everyone wanted to get their money on that 300 billion. Everyone was really excited. Zelensky was excited. Ursula was excited. Borrell was excited. Blinken, Newland, they were all like, oh my God, we're finally going to get a big, massive payday. BlackRock and Goldman Sachs. And now you have the admission that they only have 35 billion. And then the cherry on top of the cake is that Russia came out and announced that they've got 150 billion in Western assets. That Western officials are too afraid to claim because they're afraid of the backlash if they admit that they had money in Russia. Man. Oh, man. Man, oh, man. Wow. What a development. What a development. So let's do a clown world, a couple of clown worlds, and let's talk about Trudeau's speech that he gave the other day in Canada. I think this was an event with the in support of Ukraine, but I believe was an event organized by the Ukraine diaspora in Canada, something like that. And Trudeau, he came out and he spoke at this event, and it was recorded on TikTok. And I'll play a little snippet of this TikTok, just a little snippet where Trudeau is talking about Canada's support for Ukraine for as long as it takes, and that Canada is going to stand with Zelensky for as long as it takes. He even has the Ukraine. It's like the football scarf that you see in football matches. He even has that wrapped around him. So let me play a little snippet, and you can hear as Trudeau is speaking, you can hear how the crowd reacts to Trudeau.
Thank you to the Ukrainian Canadian Congress for organizing this vigil here in Toronto. It is incredible to see.
So that was Justin Trudeau speaking at this event and getting cursed while he was on stage. Not looking too good for Justin. Not looking good at all. But I wonder if, and I'll find a link for this video on Twitter, and I'll put a link for it down below so you can see the whole thing. But I wonder if Zelensky saw this TikTok, because it has gone viral, and if he called up Trudeau. Ring, ring. Yes, hello? Justin, this is Volodymyr Zelensky. Oh, hey, Volodymyr, how are you? I'm good, very good. Justin, listen, I saw the video, and I just want to say that thank you for your support, and don't listen to the people who told you to F off. Don't listen to them. They're just Putin trolls. Oh, thanks, Volodymyr. I have to admit, I was a little shaken up when they started to curse at me, but I think it was a good speech, and I just want to let you know, Volodymyr, that I'm going to support you for as long as it takes. Oh, very, very good, Justin. I'm happy to hear that, because I need you to send another $5 billion. $5 billion? But Volodymyr, we already sent $5 billion, and we were the first country to send Cheetah tanks to Ukraine. Canada was the first to show our support and send you Cheetah tanks. Trudeau, you idiot. They're Leopard tanks. How many times do I have to tell you? Leopard tanks. No such thing as a Cheetah tank. It's a Leopard. Oh yeah, you're right, Volodymyr. I always get the big cats confused. Cheetahs, leopards, mountain lions, wolves. Wolves are not cats, Trudeau. Oh yeah, you're right. Anyway, Zelensky, I'll send you $1 billion. I think I can get Freeland to approve $1 billion. Trudeau, you idiot. I need $5 billion. Don't you understand that there's some property in Vancouver that I need to purchase? Oh, okay. Okay, Zelensky, I'll see what I can do. Okay, Trudeau. Thank you. Goodbye. So that's Trudeau, consoled by Zelensky after he was heckled and mocked and cursed while he was on stage. And while we're on the subject of Zelensky, I don't know if you guys have seen the video of Zelensky's body double. It's a very interesting video. I don't know if this is true or not. I mean, I've seen the video, the photos, it's there, but I don't know if this is like a real body double or a stunt double or who knows. But when Biden went to visit Zelensky in Kiev on his super secret trip that he got the permissions of the Russians to conduct as he was visiting Zelensky, there was video of another guy that looks like Zelensky. Same haircut, same scruffy beard, same sweatshirt, same symbol on the sweatshirt. At least it looks like it's the same sweatshirt. The pants look different. I have to admit, the pants are different. The Zelensky body double seems to have camo pants, camouflage pants, and Zelensky, what that met with Biden, seems to have more darker khakis. But I don't know. Body double, perhaps? Maybe. It wouldn't surprise me. I'm sure Zelensky would use a body double. We know from the Israeli prime minister that he was hunkering down in a bunker when he was boasting about how he was walking the streets of Kiev. We know that he was actually in a bunker hiding. And why wouldn't he use a body double? He's probably still scared to death that Putin is going to take him out. Even though it's not in the Russians, it's not the Russian style to take out world leaders. But anyway, let me know what you think. Was that a body double, or was that just your standard Zelensky security staff or something like that? Anyway, that's the video, guys. The Duran.locals.com. We are on Rockfin as well, and go to the Duran shop. 10% off. Use the code GOODDAY. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, go to Rumble and find Mike's channel, Earl Grey TV on Rumble, and support Mike because he got put in YouTube prison for a week. A very, very terrible and violent thing that they did to Mike by taking him off of YouTube for 1 week, by putting him in YouTube jail. So go to Rumble and give him some support. He also has an ODYSEE channel as well. So definitely go there and support Earl Grey TV. Take care.